It's time now for perspective. Environmental activists employ a range of methods to get their message across, everything from mass rallies and government lobbying to awareness campaigns. And then there's another tool: beauty. My guest today is a Buddhist monk, author and photographer Matthieu Ricard, whose latest book of photographs is called Environmentalism, or Wonderment in English. Thank you very much indeed for speaking to us here at France 24. Now, for this book, you travelled to a large number of countries, Nepal, Argentina, Iceland. What for you is it that links these places?
Well, first of all, it's the beauty. So that creates wonderment. Wonderment leads to respect. You don't want to destroy and damage what amazes you. And then respect means to the idea of taking care, and then taking care leads to action. So when we see that the environment issue is the major challenge of the 21st century, and on my very humble scale, besides all the data that are not very good news because everything seems to be going worse and worse, to inspire. And there was a campaign by the Greens in Germany where they put beautiful photos of nature in the city, and people were very motivated to protect that. So that was one of the reasons. And also, having spent 50 years in the Himalayas, living in nature, I know also the benefit of living in nature for myself. Physical benefit, mental benefit, and there are a lot of studies showing that exposure to nature in young children increase creativity, is better for their mental and physical health. So there's a lot of also problems of being disconnected from nature. We forget about it, we don't respect it. If we don't know it well, how can you take care of it?
So going back to what you said at the beginning of your answer, you see photography as a valid political tool.
Well, initially it's sharing the beauty for those who will lay their eyes on those, and inspiring, and I try to combine with beautiful quotes from poets, from great spiritual masters like my own teacher, Khyentse Rinpoche, and others. But at the same time, as someone who sees that happen, and we cannot let it be. There's not anger, but it's the fact that this cannot be. We have to do something. And the scientists tell us what we should do, but the politician, they are looking for the next election, for the opinion polls, so they hesitate to take drastic decisions that will be necessary to mitigate the effect of climate change. And there's a lot of measures that could be taken, and they don't dare to take because of next election.
Now, you take beautiful photographs, some of which we've been seeing on the screen behind us. Do you ever feel inclined to take photographs of the more obvious impacts of climate change?
Well, you see, there are plenty of war reporters show the suffering. It's necessary to awake consciousness. I've seen a great photographer doing mostly dumps and industrial, compounds. Okay, they are there. My role is to show the beauty of human beings with spiritual teachers, with the beautiful children and elderly people with a big smile, to give back confidence in the human nature, and in terms of the environment, to inspire. So that's the path I chose. There are plenty of photographers, my colleagues, who show the negative sides. So I choose that one, and I'm perfectly happy with that myself.
You're also a translator, you're a motivational speaker, you're an author. What is it that draws you to photography in particular? What do you get from photography that you don't necessarily get in those other areas?
Well, I must say my father was a philosopher and a writer, but I didn't inherit his quality. My mother is a wonderful painter, but I cannot draw. So photography was the obvious choice for me to express. And not anyway, I felt drawn from the beginning when I saw lights, and it's mostly light and colors and shimmering reflection on this pond. And when I was young, and I got a camera when I was 13 years old, my family said, well, don't count on him for holiday photos. He only takes, reflection in a pond or waves or flowers. So that's what I like. So I kept on doing it. And I learned photography with one of the pioneers of nature photography in France, called André Fatra. He's one of the first ones to do animal photography 60 years ago. So that's it.
Now, you mentioned climate change a little earlier and specifically your sadness at government inaction. You've lived in the Himalayan region for decades now. Is there, do you think, a real difference in the way that people in the Himalayan region see climate change, the threats of climate change?
You know, they don't hear the news and they don't read those newspapers. But everyone says the Himalaya becomes blackened. In Tibet, they tell you that before they used to cross the ice on rivers and lakes for 3 months with animals, with trucks. Now it's 3 weeks. I mean, they all know. They tell you immediately, all the farmers, the nomads. So this is obvious to anyone. And this is the third pole. There are 30,000 large and small glaciers. Just in Nepal alone, there are 3,000 lakes without name because it didn't exist 30 years ago. They're just melting of the glacier. It's dramatic.
Now, you are a Buddhist monk. What does Buddhism have to teach us about environmentalism?
Well, if Buddhism is non-violence against humans, non-violence against animals, non-violence against the environment. So that's very clear. We should respect our environment. This is our home. And so this is what sustains life. So it's part of compassion and altruism to take care of an environment and to take care of 8 million other species who are co-citizens in this world, and we are going straight to the 6th major extinction of species since life came on Earth 3.5 billion years ago.
And it's our duty to protect it. Matthieu Ricard, thank you very much indeed for coming on to speak to us here on France 24. And this is your new book, Émerveillement, Wonderment in English. Thank you again.
Most welcome.